Hey, good day, class. We're going to start working on our next project today. So this is our kickoff video for our project on mini golf courses. So before we get into it, got a little bit of housekeeping stuff. Some of y'all may have caught on to this. Some of y'all might be questioning some of these things. So just want to cover these two things before we get kind of further along. So one, with these ed puzzles, how many attempts can you take on them? If you do it correctly, unlimited. I have it set up for unlimited retakes. The key is that you do not turn it in until you've answered all the questions correctly or you have the final grade that you want. If you press the turn in button, it will show you the correct answers, and at that point you're done. So, if you got a 4 out of 10 or whatever, but you really wanted that 100, do not turn it in. There's a rewatch button or a retry button. If you have any questions, ask your neighbor, come bring me your Chromebook, we'll get it sorted out. But again, do not press that turn in button. Number 2, so we kicked off a project about 2 weeks ago on BattleBots. As I explained at the time, it's a long-term project that you need to work on when you have free time. The competition is not until May. So we're not going to spend the next 2-3 months slowly designing our BattleBots. Instead, we're going to continue working on other projects. So right now we've got the mini golf. You all have your WebZam coming up, which we're going to be doing WebZam reviews throughout the next couple of weeks, as well as doing our mini golf, as well as doing our BattleBots. After that, we'll have a very quick project on pizza, making 3D models of pizza, very similar to when we did the donuts, but on a much quicker pace than that donut project went. It's not going to be a 3-4 week project. It's probably going to be a day or two. Then we'll do a your choice project, more details on that. And then for those who don't, get that top level score, you'll have a second attempt at the WebZam to get the grade that you want and or need to pass the class and get all the different benefits of having taken this class. All right, so on to the project kickoff. So first and foremost, what is mini golf? I know some of y'all have probably played mini golf or putt-putt or crazy golf. They're all very similar, basically the same concept, but some of y'all haven't. So it is basically a extremely scaled down version of golf. It's played with only one club, which is called the putter. It's flat. It's not meant to get the ball off the ground. Just kind of hit it in a straight line or bounce it off things. But similar to real regular golf, the object is to get the ball in the hole in as few strokes as possible. They typically have very unique designs versus a typical golf course, which is just grass, has a tee and a hole, and it's relatively long. Here's kind of an example. This is actually from a place over at Newport on the Levee called Par 3. They've got 27 holes. This is their Pac-Man hole. I just took this picture off their internet. Hard to see, but the tee or the starting point is back here. You can hit the ball kind of straight up into Pac-Man, and it'll go through to the hole over here. You can also kind of take, a little bit longer path. If you're not a straight shot, you might kind of bank through and do some other things. So kind of just a very quick example of mini golf in the real world. Here's a couple of other examples. So you've got a Pixar Toy Story version. I'm not sure in this picture where the tee is or the starting point, but right here is the hole. It's a pretty simplistic one. You've got another one down here where it looks like there's 2 paths to get to the hole over here. One's kind of covered by this bridge with barrels on it, so you don't really know what's underneath. There could be some barriers or blocks in there that kind of knock that ball out of whack. Up here, looks like you got a kind of a woodsy mushroom kind of design. Looks like you probably start up here somewhere. The ball goes into this tree, comes down the ramp, and there's probably a hole down here somewhere. Here's another indoor one. You can see quite a few different designs in the background, but This one, you got a pirate ship. You can't see the other side, obviously, but you can see that, as you hit probably different parts on this pirate ship, it comes out of 3 different pipes. Depending on which pipe you hit it out of, you could have better luck getting it into this hole. So like if you hit it out this one, the ball probably comes down here. This one probably spits it out here, but this one way over here shoots out. And unless you kind of have scoped it out and scouted, you don't really know where the pipes go, so makes for an interesting play. So again, those are just some real world examples. You're free to go on Google, look up mini golf. If you look up Putt Putt, that's kind of a brand. They're a little bit more basic, but they've been around for a long time. Crazy Golf, you can also look up Neon Mini Golf, get some different ideas. So here's our project. So the mini golf project, it can be an individual project. It can also be a group project with a maximum of 3 people. Anything above that's going to get a little bit hard. But either way, regardless of how many people are in the group, each person needs to create 3 holes. So if you've got 3 people, there's going to be a total of 9 holes in your course. 2 people, 6. If it's a solo project or solo attempt, 3 holes. Hopefully you can do the math. So again, either 1, 2, or 3 people in your group. Overall, kind of the constraints. So each group member must contribute. Again, each person has to create their own 3 holes. For those who are not fully aware, I can see who does what in Onshape. I can see where your file originated from. I can see things you added, deleted, what strokes you made. Just like your English teacher can check your history in your Google Documents. I can check the history on your Onshape and see the history of where that file came from, when it was started, when you turned it in, all that fun stuff, who did everything. So don't try to have one person make 9 holes and everybody else just kind of reaps the benefit. I'll quickly know the one individual will probably get some bonus points for going above and beyond, and the other 2 will get 0. So just don't do it. Don't press your luck. As far as each hole, again, this is a mini golf course, so it's got to have a tee, which is your starting area. Has to have a hole, that's where you finish. And has to have some landscaping and decorations. You'll notice each one of the examples I've already shown had stuff both on and off the course to kind of tie into a theme. At least one of the holes has to have an elevation change. So again, if you go back to those examples, they all had elevation changes. So this had the pipes, this a little bit more subtle, but this is on a hill. This one didn't have any elevation changes. This one does. You're going from an elevated area down to a lower kind of green area. So, and this one has an elevated area with the Pac-Man. So a lot of different ways you can get an elevation change. As far as your CAD space, again, you've got to be using dimensions. Things should be measured out. Each hole needs to be fit within a 200 foot by 200 foot square. Can be smaller, does not have to be square. It needs to be able to fit in that. So if you make it, say, a pumpkin shape or Christmas tree shape, it has to still be able to fit in that 200 by 200 foot square, but it could be, if you're doing a Christmas tree, 200 feet tall, but only 100 feet wide. And that would work. The base of the hole, so the ground, must be 4 inches tall. So it can't just be floating on something. In order to extrude, you got to have some sort of dimension to it. 4 inches is the base or the ground of your hole. Each hole needs to have a wall or some sort of barrier around it to ensure the ball does not leave the hole. Again, if you go back to the real world examples, there's a wall barrier there, there's a wall barrier over here around it. This one's in a circle wall barrier. This one has this kind of woodsy roots looking painted thing that's all, even grass up here, that's the wall. So that's just a tried and true thing with mini golf. And each hole needs to use all of the Onshape skills that are listed on this next slide. So again, we're not just trying to do very simple and basic things. We're trying to build upon the skills you all have been learning all year. A couple more skills that I'll be teaching here very quickly. But here it is. So the required on-shape skills that must be present in each and every one of your holes. You need to have an extrude, at least one. You'll probably have a bunch, but you got to use extrude. Have to have at least one sweep, one revolve, one loft, one hole. I mean, duh, you need a hole. Linear pattern and helix. So 2 new skills that I'll be teaching here after this video. In your final presentation, and we'll get to that in a little bit more, you're going to have to take pictures and show examples of how, for each hole, how and why you used each skill. So here's a couple of examples. These are all done by high school students within the Butler Tech Network. They've been taken from different teachers who've done this project. So as you look through these, you know, where did they do the extrude? Where did they do their sweeps? Different things like that. So you can kind of get a feel for some examples. You got some video games up here. You got Pac-Man, Sonic. You got a SpongeBob one. I know at least one student in my class will be excited to see that. They've done a couple of SpongeBob projects this year. So phase 1 of the project. So this is going to follow our engineering design process. Step 1, research. This is worth 40 points. This will be done as a group. So you're going to create your own slide deck, which is going to be your design proposal. On that title page, I need everybody in that group's name. So John, Bob, and Sue all need to have their name on the title page. If it only says John and Bob, only John and Bob are getting grades. Sue can't come back to me later and be like, I work with John and Bob. Sorry, Sue. You should have been an active participant and made sure your name was on this. You're going to start by coming up with 3 different possible themes. You need to include some pictures, some whole ideas. So maybe one of your possible themes is video games. One of it is, you know, football teams, and another is my go-to, shoes. So have some pictures, some ideas. Then as a group, come up with a theme that all of you will use. So you can't be in a group of 3 and have one person doing the video games, one person doing the shoes, and one person doing football teams. Nope, all 3 of you have to be doing the exact same. So this is where it comes down to, you know, hey, maybe 2 of you want to do it as a group and one of you wants to go solo because you just can't agree. I'm fine with that. At the end of the day, each of you needs to make 3 holes, same theme if you're in a group. Theme has to carry across all the holes in the group. As part of that slide deck, who's going to create each hole and what the theme of their hole is. So say you decide video games. You know, Bob might like first-person shooters, so maybe he's going to make a Call of Duty, a Fortnite, and an Avowed. Avowed's not really first-person shooter, but maybe multiplayer online games. The second player or second person, so John might say, hey, let me do sports video games. So you might do a MLB The Show, NCAA football, and Madden. And then the third person might like games like Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, and Pokemon. Again, they're all 3 video games, a little bit different from everybody, so it's not necessarily an identical theme, but at the end of the day, it's video games, and then you'll say, you know, John did this, Bob did this, and Sue did these 3. Once you've got your slide deck with your proposal, including pictures, and these can just be pictures of that theme off the internet. So say you're doing video games, it could just be pictures of the video game characters. It doesn't have to be a mini golf with those themes in the picture. Just something that makes the slide not boring, plain white with colored font or whatever. It kind of gives it some dress up. Once you're done with it, one person in the group needs to submit the slide deck in Google Classroom. The other group members need to put a private comment in there saying, Bob submitted the slide deck for our group, and then press submit. I need to make sure that you press submit so I know to grade it for you and who to look for your submission. Also, when you tell me who submitted it, make sure that person actually submits the slides. Had a group earlier in the year tell me that one of the students submitted it. That person ended up going on vacation, never submitted the slides, never shared them with the group members, and they had to scramble and remake the slides after the fact before the end of the second quarter. So don't get there. Make sure that your group member does what they need to do. Make sure you do what you need to do. And this is going to be due by Friday, February 21st. So not today, Thursday, but tomorrow, Friday. So quick turnaround. Shouldn't take too long to put a couple of slides together. Share the slide deck with each other. Having each of you do your own slides makes it a lot easier. At the end of the day, it's 40 points. Everybody in the group will get the same grade. Phase 2. So as soon as you're done with that, don't waste any time. Just hop into the next part. This one's worth 75 points. 25 points for each hole that you are doing. This is an individual grade. So in your engineering notebook, you need to make a sketch of each of your 3 hole designs. It needs to be a full page picture. So more like the one on the right here, but detailed like either one. The one on the left looks like it's shared with another one in this crop picture, but it's pretty detailed. You'll see an example of what this actually looked like in CAD. It's pretty impressive. But it needs to be detailed, needs to kind of explain what each little shape and object is. The more detail, better. So that way, anybody can pick it up, look at it, and say, okay, yeah, I know exactly what this is probably going to look like once it's done in Onshape. And you can see these once they get into Onshape. A little bit different, at least for the Christmas tree, but kind of similar. The P.F. Chang Chinese one looks pretty much like this. It's pretty impressive. Once you've got them sketched, take a nice clear picture of each of your sketches and submit them to Google Classroom. Again, look at your pictures, make sure I can see them. I can't tell you the number of students that submit a picture that is blurry, too faint, can't see it, and I can't grade it. So help yourself get the grade you expect. Take a nice clear picture like these are, and you won't have any problems. This is going to be due next Tuesday. So again, once you're done with that first slide deck, get it submitted, start working on your sketch. Don't take 30 minutes off, 45 minutes off, because you're only going to have Monday and Tuesday next week. Should be enough time to sketch, but I know some of you are a little bit slower, might like to have a little bit more detail. So give yourself all the time in the world. So phase 3, the CAD part, the design and build your prototype here. So these are the 2 from the previous slide. So you've got the P.F. Chang's in the lower picture, and then you've got the Christmas tree with the presents and the gifts there at the up above. So looks similar, maybe a few different design changes once they got into Onshape, but you can see they both did a really nice job. So again, this is going to be 75 points for the CAD portion, 25 points per hole. Individual grade for your 3 holes. So you're going to create your 3 holes as part of a team document. So one of you will open up Onshape, create a new document, go into class, start the assignment, share it with each other, share it with me. So at the end of the day, it should be shared with multiple people, including myself, so I can see it. If it's not shared with me, I won't grade it until you do. I need to be able to see and be able to maneuver the hole to check different things. Along with that, there is a Google slide template for this. So each of you individually will complete the Onshape hole description slide deck template. Big, long name. But basically it goes through each hole and it asks how and why you used each of these Onshape skills: the extrude, the sweep, the revolve, the loft, the hole, the linear pattern, and the helix take pictures of it and explain why you use that skill and not another skill to accomplish that task. Should be complete sentences. All of you all have taken, English and writing classes, so you should be able to write a complete sentence with punctuation and capitalization. Try to make it look professional. This will be due Thursday, March 6th, so you've got a little bit of time on this one, but don't mess around. There's a lot of sketching and, stuff that needs to go into each of these holes. I mean, if you look at that PF Chang's, there's a whole bunch of little pieces to make that work. This is a third quarter grade. That is the last school day of third quarter. You've got 2.5 weeks, but there is other stuff we're going to be doing, like WebXam review, because the WebXam will be the next week. So again, don't mess around. Get the first 2 done so that way you can jump right into this and get it done and not carry a 0 on your third quarter grade. Just wouldn't be good to have a 0 out of 75 if you've done everything else right through third quarter. So again, don't mess around, get it done, won't have any issues. So there were quite a few examples in the slide deck, but here are some more from various Butler Tech students throughout the district. So you can see this one, kind of a disco theme. You can see some skills that you've done before. You've got, clearly extrudes all over the place. You've got holes. You've got characters that have been traced and extruded. You've got some lights, which were probably done with some revolve and some other skills. You've got some sweeps and some lofts going on over here in the edge. This was probably done with lofting as well. So you kind of get the idea. We've got a kind of a carnival theme. You can see very similar to some of the sketching and extruding that we've done. You can see some revolves. You can see, sweeps. These actually might either be revolves or they might be lofts. This probably is a revolve as well. But you can see a lot of different skills that we've done in the past. Got a bigger picture of that SpongeBob one. I know at least one of my students will probably like this one and dig it. So again, as you go through it, you can see the different skill sets that they've used. You've also got a slight elevation change here, so I wanted to call that out. I got a Superman design. You can see most of the skills used. Got the Pac-Man one. It's got its dimensions marked out, so 20 by 20. You've got some pretty clear extrudes, sweeps, lofts, those things going on. I don't see necessarily an elevation change, but again, or kind of do here to get to the hole. So you got the Sonic one. Again, you can see the sketch and the extrudes here, very detailed. You can see the trees made. A lot of very cool little features. You got your hole over there. You got the rings just like Sonic, so you can definitely see the theme going throughout the entire hole. And go back to that one. You can also see they did a little bit different barrier versus just a plain wall, so definitely acceptable. Even if you think about it, you could technically hit the ball underneath there. I'm good with that because it's a barrier around it. You got a happy birthday one. Nothing wrong with this one. It's a little bit more basic, but it still has all the skills needed. So the student did a good job. You can also see the little bit harder to see, but you can see kind of the circle around this. This is an elevated hole, so there is a elevation change here. Also an elevation change here, and probably between the different levels here. So hard to see with this image. So this is why I require you all to share these files with me so I can spin them around, make sure that all the different pieces are there. Got a holiday themed one, so we got Halloween. Start over here. I know I shared this with somebody, and we were looking at it, trying to figure out where the hole was. The hole's actually over here, so it's kind of an awkward spot, but sometimes mini golf likes to do that. Probably in the same groups set, you've got a Independence Day, 4th of July, maybe Flag Day version of or hole. So you got your start, got pretty much all your different shapes. You got the helixes with the ropes or the strings going up to the balloons that are up there. There's a big copy of the Christmas tree one, so I will give you credit for that. This here is an elevation change, even though the start and the finish are at the same place. It's kind of a simplistic way of getting it done versus having multiple levels, which is kind of more the purpose. But again, at the end of the day, the ball changes elevation. Probably a Valentine's Day one. Got a lot of hearts here. Got some candies. Got a ring. Start, hole. A little bit more on the basic side, but hey, it works. There's that P.F. Chang one, nice and big. So you got, your pieces of sushi over here. You got some chopsticks inside the hole. A little bucket, hole, flag. Got the P.F. Chang, some soy sauce, the to-go bucket. And looks like some bigger sushi kind of squares. We got a dominoes kind of set with a couple of dice here, kind of random, but hey, it still works. I'm guessing this is the start. You've got an elevation change over here before you get to the hole. Looks like this one's the hole in the middle of the 5. Got a version of sorry. Again, start, clearly marked, bounces off. And one of these things, so this is actually something to call out. So you'll see this often in mini golf. The barriers will be angled at certain angles to help the ball get to where it needs to. So if you hit this straight here, if it hits off this one, that will help it go this way. Potentially off this sorry, off this little sorry, and down into the home area where the hole ends up being. So it's kind of a common mini golf theme is angled barriers or bumpers per se to get the ball to where it needs to go to finish the hole. You got a Hungry Hungry Hippos one. Start over here, hole over there. I don't know if this one actually moves, but in the real world you probably would see this where it actually comes down and blocks the path for a moment, so it's a timing thing as well. Oh, and I think I honestly just figured out what the dice thing is. So common theme throughout all of them. So you got the dice here, the dice here, and the dice here. So this is all in the part of the same golf course. So you'll typically see a hole marker in a golf course that it kind of carries through as well. So that's a nice little element that this team added. So kudos to them. And this one actually is part of the same set. So you got a Battleship one. Not sure where it starts and stops based off of this picture, but a lot of nice little cool elements to this. Attention to detail with both the bottom and the top boards, the ships with the pegs in it. So if you've ever played Battleship, it's a pretty easy one to tell what it is. I like this one. It's kind of basic, but it's a little near and dear to my heart. This is my baseball team, but I didn't do this. I don't know who made this, but it's a Boston Red Sox version. I'm guessing starts, hit it off this base, hit it off that base, and off this base, and it's supposed to go in the hole. Doesn't look like it's really lined up to do that, but at least that's the concept. So, again, you can see all the different revolves, extrudes, not really part of the hole, but you got a little bit of an elevation change here. You've also got that attention to detail. You've got the scoreboard. You've got the green monster wall for those of you who follow baseball and know about the Boston Red Sox. It's a pretty good artistic take on their ballpark. And that's the last example I've got. So again, that's the project. Everything's posted in Google Classroom. We're going to try to wrap this project up in the next 3 weeks. So make sure you're not lollygagging with the first couple assignments, so that way you've got time to work on making 3 holes, getting all the skill sets in, then taking pictures of the individual components, so that way you can complete that slide deck describing where you used each and every one of those skills. So as always, if you have any questions after you've watched this, as you're going along, feel free to ask me. One additional wrinkle is the last week of the quarter, I will not be here. I will actually be taking a class myself in Tennessee, so that way I can start to add in the ability to provide industry credentials in my class for precision measuring. It's 3 different credential points, and then also for 3M safety, which is additional 3 credential points. So hopefully we might be able to get some of that in this year for those of you who are looking to get your industry credential seal for graduation. And then next year it'll be part of my project revamp, to where in my first 2 years, the 2 classes I teach, you'll be able to get at least 13 points, which is 1 more than the 12 required for a graduation seal. And so taking my classes, you'll get your technology seal and your industry credential seal, which is 2 of the 3 that you need for graduation. So doing my part to help you all get to where you need, up and out of Coleraine and on with your life. So again, thank you for watching the video. If you're doing this for the Ed Puzzle and you did not get the grade that you want, do not hit submit. Hit the other button that says rewatch, retake. Go back to the questions that you missed, redo them until you get the grade that you want. Once you get the grade that you want, hit submit/turn in, whatever that button says. You should hopefully be able to read and know which button to hit. I don't see the student side, so I'm not 100% sure. If you have any questions, ask your neighbor, bring me your Chromebook. We'll get it taken care of as long as you have not hit submit. Thanks all. See y'all in class.